This is Hannibal here from thehannibaltv.com with the second daily news update of the day. A lot has happened. First of all, Jake Hagar, aka Jack Swagger, former WWE champion, apparently, although it hasn't been officially announced, is done with AEW. They've barely used him. And I have to say, he's one guy. I mean, I was at the AEW show in Ottawa where they had mostly a lot of people that nobody knew. He's one guy that would have got a pop there, and it's strange the people that they choose to use over wrestlers that are known more and are more over. Which is why right after I'm done this video, I'm gonna do a video going through AEW's roster live because I'm dumbfounded at some of these moves. I mean, I understand why Jake Hager would be released, but I would have used him way better if I mean this is just me. Like if because he hasn't been on TV and hasn't been doing much, and although he probably made a hell of a lot of money, you could say his AEW run as adding name value to his name. Sadly, it didn't really add any name value to his name. And I hate to say that because I've known him and he was a nice guy, but he probably made a lot of money, so good for him. As far as Rampage, they did their lowest viewership ever last Friday. On the go home show to Double or Nothing, 2,200, 0.08 rating, with a main event of it was. Let me just look at this. It was Rocky Romero, who has got to be one of the most boring wrestlers ever, but he's got a lot of backstage pull. And by me saying that out loud guarantees that I ain't gonna work for New Japan, CMLL, or AEW, where he works backstage at all those places. But he was in one of the feature matches. Okay, AEW Collision, or sorry, we're looking for AEW Rampage. I'll look it up at the end, but I think it was Rocky Romero against Jay White was one of the feature matches for the lowest viewership and lowest ratings ever for a Rampage. SmackDown was down 2 for their go home show, 0.56, but not too bad. Jordan Grace appeared again on NXT. I believe TNA uses Endeavor's streaming service. So there's a connection there to promote to want to help try and promote TNA from what I understand because they're not doing very well. Apparently for their Montreal show, and I'm helping them by saying this. It's 3 tickets for $35 for their upcoming pay-per-view, which is a pay-per-view that I know PCO is doing a lot of local promotion for. So I'm giving it a plug. You can thank me later. There's a jabroni that runs their marketing team there. As far as on SmackDown, Ethan Page also debuted from AEW. He had his biggest run in AEW. He's a Canadian guy. I've met him. He's a nice guy. No issues at all with him. I went to one of his shows in Hamilton once to meet with Harry Smith. MJF started in his company in Hamilton. He's another guy from the Toronto area, like Sean Spears in NXT. So maybe NXT will become the place for a lot of the lower card talent in AEW to get a chance to maybe give NXT a boost since they were in AEW, get people talking about NXT, and then if they get over, maybe move to the main roster. I wish them luck. Wish them nothing but luck. Sorry, I gotta look up these AEW Rampage results. Sorry, we are live. May 24th was the day. Here we go. All right, we had Rocky Romero against Pac. Sorry. I'm glad I looked that up. I can correct myself. It wasn't Jay White, it was Pac. So I don't blame people for not watching that. I'm not saying they're not good wrestlers, but like there's no heat going to that match. It's like they're not even trying. And I mean, was Jake Hager still under contract for this? Because like he's a guy. If you're flipping through the channels, oh, I remember this guy. He was WWE champion. Maybe I'll watch this for a few minutes, see if it's any good. Chris Jericho addressed the fans. I mean, good. I guess he was in town for Double or Nothing. They wanted to give Double or Nothing a push. Whether he was advertised for Rampage or not, I have no idea. Samoa Joe against Dom Kubrick. Don't know the other guy. Probably an enhancement match. Private Parties, Isaiah Cassidy versus Roosh. And Alex Windsor and Anna Jay against Willow Nightingale and Chris Statlander. So there you go. Those were the matches that drew the lowest rating ever for Rampage. Someone says, I go hard, son. Chris Jericho will go next. No, Chris Jericho's under contract for a few more years. I believe he's under contract from now. I don't quote me on this, but I believe it's until the end of 2025. I do know he's going on an extended music tour. This might be a way for him to get away from wrestling for a while and come back. Sorry, as I dropped something. Wouldn't be me if I didn't drop something. Come back and maybe people won't be bored of him, but it seems like he's very, he's not interesting right now to a lot of people. Someone says Sonny is looking like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man from Ghostbusters these days. She's gaining a lot of weight in jail for sure. Anyways, Jake Hager, it'll be interesting. He could be one to show up in NXT. I mean, he would make. I mean, would he? He would get some buzz if he went to NXT. It might reignite his career a bit, but would you sign him long term for NXT? And he just came off of a. Would you sign him to the main roster in WWE? I don't know about that. I mean, he'd be a guy that could help get the newer guys over, but it's not like he's coming out of AEW hot or anything like that, where he'd be feuding with top guys. Will he go back to MMA? He didn't do too bad in MMA. Would he? Impact doesn't take crap from what I understand, so I couldn't see him going to Impact. Neither do the other lower companies. He might just take indie bookings for high prices. The good thing about this is with AEW just signing all these guys and not using them, there's less good wrestlers on the independent scene. So now maybe the independent scenes can get a boost again. Jericho looks like he's aged 10 years in AEW. The pictures I saw from him in from the Winnipeg show, he definitely looked like he was packing on the weight. He's making a fortune, though. Good for him. He's a great politician, good wrestler. I mean, I was disappointed that he wasn't in Ottawa for the AEW, one of the many AEW cities that he no-showed, along with a lot of other wrestlers that were no-shows for AEW cities. I was really looking forward to seeing Jericho. Now Edge is out too. I mean, not that Edge was really an effective ratings draw, but he's a guy when you put him on the poster, it's like, oh, Edge, we remember him from WWE. Or if he's on the card, it's like, okay, well, Jericho wasn't there, but Edge was there. And honestly, if Edge hadn't been there for Ottawa, people would have been real pissed, because they also didn't have Moxley and a bunch of other guys. But now that Edge is going to be out with a broken tibia, it's going to be interesting. And now, I don't know. Tony Khan has denied that he's disappointed with the offer that Warner Brothers Discovery put out for them to renew, which was supposedly an offer that was originally reported by someone close to the situation that was not up to what Tony Khan wanted, but they just broke another record low rating. Beggars can't be choosers, and they lost 34 million last year, according to reports. So stay tuned. We're going to review the AEW/ROH roster next, because they do the tapings on the same show. Both companies are owned by Tony Khan. There's constant crossover. It's the same freaking company.